Welcome to another St. Pete by Night production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness role-playing community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida, and now spreading out to the world at large. My name is Kent, also known as Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And it's Sunday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Red Tide Rising, our new Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa Bay, Florida, a part of the greater Tampaverse as it continues to grow, expand, and change. And we check in on the kindred side of things as a young coterie of anarchs attempts to carve out a piece of territory for themselves, all under the watchful gaze of their employer, Solomon Reed. Now, let's go ahead and meet our players. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Good evening, my name is Garrett, and tonight I'll be playing August, the Thin Blood, and everything is going to be just fine.
Howdy, howdy. My name is Ace. I struggle with technology, and I will be playing Beau Walker.
Hi, my name is Scott. I'll be playing Jeremiah, who's a very hungry Malkavian.
Hi, I'm Freya, and I'm going to be playing Valentina, who is a very scared ghoul right now.
What nobody understands is that Ace is actually a La Sombra masquerading as a Toreador in this particular game. But anyway, let's get everybody caught up on what happened in our debut episode. The Coterie, also known as the Midnight Special, was tasked by their employer, Solomon Reed, to make a very important delivery to a brand new client. After having some time to discuss and wait for the delivery to be dropped off at the Waiting Owl, Valentina's bar, they eventually received a paneled van with a large wooden crate in the back. After a little bit of investigation by Jeremiah, it was quickly discovered that in that crate was a torpid kindred. And Jeremiah was very much tempted by the package, almost helping himself to the contents within. But after a little bit of coercing and self-control regained, the Coterie was off and on the road. But of course, it couldn't have been a smooth journey because they ended up being tracked down by agents of the circulatory system, and they did have to do some clever maneuvering to try and escape the encounter. After shaking their first tail, they ended up picking up a second, but they were able to outrun the second group, but not without a little bit of violence in the form of gunfire that punctured the gas tank of the vehicle and caused it to slowly start leaking gasoline out onto the pavement. Thankfully, this wasn't enough to deter them from reaching their destination in Ybor City, a tattoo parlor known as Evanesce. Here, they were introduced to the Zemitzi known as Vesper, the client of Solomon Creed, or at least the new client. After a little bit of discussion and introduction, the package was finally delivered to the very eager and waiting Vesper. This left a very interesting feeling within the minds of the Coterie, as some saw Vesper as a threat, while others saw Vesper as a potential asset. But now our story begins tonight as the Coterie returns to the Walk and Roll, a small Chinese restaurant in Sulphur Springs, where their benefactor and employer awaits. Let's get to our first scene. So, Coterie, after being invited to help yourselves to the bountiful offerings within Ybor City, some of you were successful in tracking down a good evening's meal. Others were less than so. August, you failed to find a suitable prey. Jeremiah, you also failed to find a suitable prey, and your beast was not happy about it, as your hunger raises to a 4 at this point. Beau, surprisingly enough, you strayed from your typical predator type and managed to seduce or bring in a willing human with the use of your presence, and were able to feast upon them. Now, this goes against your typical feeding type, and the ingestion of human blood isn't to your liking, but you were able to keep it down long enough to sustain yourself. And Valentina, you haven't fallen into the grips of such predilection so far, so you just managed to watch on and stay with the vehicle until such time as it was the time to depart. Now we find ourselves just outside of the Walk and Roll, a Chinese restaurant in a strip mall that would be easily overlooked to anyone unknowing of the illicit and dangerous activities that happen within the back office of this establishment. There are a couple of vans parked outside with the Walk and Roll branding on the side used for catering, but around back, there are a couple more vans that have no writing on it whatsoever. This is where you are to leave your vehicle, although currently it's not necessarily in the best shape. But what they don't know won't hurt them, right? But will it hurt you? That depends on what you decide to relay as you all sit in the van outside of the back of the restaurant, the delivery door in the back awaiting your arrival so that you can report in on how everything went. But until you decide to go inside, the scene is yours.
I think Val can feel Jeremiah's eyes on them pretty much throughout the trip. I imagine, you know, the beast of a kindred, full kindred, not too happy, but he will, before everyone gets out, raise his voice and say, "Beau, can we have a quick talk in private, please?"
Yeah. And Beau will walk off to the side with Jeremiah. What's going on?
I need to ask a really big favor.
What's the favor?
Our well, I wasn't as successful as you in our gracious host's territory. And I really, really don't want to risk asking Valentina this favor. Are you gonna make me say it?
Use your words, Jeremiah. I'm not a mind reader.
You know, we both have that gift. We can eventually anyway. I need some vitae. I can't go in to the boss like this.
All right. All right. Beau will pull down the collar of their shirt, a slight bruise already forming from the earlier feeding. Have at it.
He is going to take out his pistol from the holster that he has, and he's going to put it in Beau's hand and says, I don't know. Screwing up with you is a lot less dangerous than screwing up with a mortal, but just in case.
You know I will if it comes down to it.
Just light on the trigger. And he will go in for a bite.
Okay. As you sink your teeth into the exposed neck of your coterie mate, the blood is thick and filling. It has a very elegant bouquet that comes with it, but you can't pay attention to any of that as your vision starts to fill with red and blur over. Give me a composure and resolve check, as you are at hunger 4, and even being exposed to blood at such a hunger comes with a great deal of risk.
One success.
Jeremiah had said earlier that it was less dangerous to go after a human or a ghoul than it was to go after a kindred. Maybe less dangerous, yes. But the danger that comes with going after a kindred is the risk of diablerie. And as the blood fills your mouth and moves its way down to your belly, you feel the beast rage against the bars, lash out, howling with delight at what it's been craving all evening ever since that box arrived at your door. One success is not enough to stop yourself. So as the beast takes over and you start to feed Beau, the ecstasy of the kiss is quickly washed away by the revelation that he isn't taking just what he needs. He's going even further. Now, there's a couple of possibilities here. One, Jeremiah, you could spend a willpower to stop yourself, at least temporarily, but you are going into a frenzy, so you will have to continue to frenzy at some point. But each willpower you spend buys you additional time. The question is, what are you going to frenzy on inevitably? Or two, Beau, you can force him to stop, but eventually he's probably going to be needing to be put down since he can't regain control himself without some kind of solution.
I will be spending a willpower to disengage from Beau.
How much are you taking?
I think with that, I think I'd take 2.
So, Beau, I need you to make 2 rouse checks for me.
Now, they said they stepped away. Is this both out of ear and eye shot?
Earshot, yes, but he would have stayed within like visual range.
So at the picture of him feeding on Beau, he would make himself available to intercede, but he would not if he thinks things are going under control. So when he sees Jeremiah detach, he stays himself instead of immediately getting involved, but he's intently watching now.
Okay. Beau, how are those rouse checks for you?
Hunger increased by 1, succeeded 1, failed the other.
Okay. So yeah, your hunger only increases by 1. You feel yourself drain ever so slightly, as if your stomach is starting to slowly leak out. The beast, which was satisfied enough for the time being, becomes very easily annoyed. You had just taken care of this. Why are you giving it away? That's ours, not theirs. But you do, and it acquiesces, for now, to such an action. Now the question is, how many times have the 2 of you done this? Because blood bonds are a very real thing, and at this moment, this is a step towards one.
I think this is the first.
Okay. So you are 1 step closer to bonded to Beau. Beau has just become a lot more alluring, a lot more interesting, and in a way, you would do anything to keep their approval, at least temporarily in this moment. But the beast is still very much raging against the cage inside, and there are only a limited number of targets in this place to receive its wrath. What do, Jeremiah? You have pulled back, you've detached, you find your chest rising and falling as if against your own will, you're panting because you know it's just moments until it takes control again. What are you going to do?
I am... So we're at a loading dock, right?
You're in a back parking lot. There is a loading door, but it's not really a dock. Like, they'd have to take dollies in through a back door if they were to deliver anything.
He's going to try and take his anger out on one of the cars.
On one of the cars out back behind Solomon's restaurant, possibly an employee's or his?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. As you turn and move yourself away, I'd like you to make one more, or spend one more willpower just to buy you enough time to redirect your anger at something else. And as you begin unleashing hell on this vehicle, there's the sound of crunching metal, the sound of breaking glass. Give me a strength and brawl.
At this point, August would yell out to Valentina and say, "You need to go inside and get somebody."
1 success.
Okay, so you're not doing a lot of damage to the vehicle, but you're still pounding on it, which is causing a little bit of denting,
Fun
and
fact
so
for the
forth.
viewers, Jeremiah has a strength and brawl rating of 1.
Whee! As you just find yourself pounding on this vehicle with everything you have. Give me one more composure and resolve to see if you can regain control of yourself once you have started to wear out the anger within.
2 successes.
Okay, 2 successes is enough to put the beast back where it belongs, locked behind the cage bars within. The scene may resume. Valentina, how would you like to react to August and their request?
It's just a very quick sort of snap. What's going on? Oh.
And he just stops.
I think he worked it out. I think we're all right.
This is far from worked out. Do you know whose car that is? And I'm going to see if I can recognize it to see if it is Solomon's.
Roll me a 1d10.
That's a 4.
Okay. It is not Solomon's, but it's definitely an employee of the walk and roll. And in fact, as you look over the vehicle, you recognize it as you had seen it just a few hours earlier when the van was dropped off by Doberman. He got into the exact same car that was being driven by someone else and took the driver's seat.
No, I don't recognize the car, August. Whose is it?
You know? And he'll smile to himself, and he'll begin walking towards the back door.
Who? You can't just leave me hanging like that. Come on. Who is it? All right. Jeremiah, you all right over there?
What's the damage?
Honestly, maybe a few dents, maybe one broken window. Nothing too extensive due to your very poor roll on the strength and brawl, but it's primarily superficial damage to the vehicle, but enough that it won't go unnoticed, as it is a very pristine vehicle normally.
Jeremiah's gonna straighten his shirt, survey the damage, do some mental calculation in his head, and he turns and walks towards the door as well.
As Beau goes to follow, they will walk over to Valentina and offer their arm. So that was Doberman's car? And as long as he doesn't ask questions, I'm fine with leaving it unsaid.
That being said, why don't everybody give me a wits and awareness check? All right, how many successes we got? August? 1 success. Beau?
2 successes, 1 is a crit.
Okay. Jeremiah?
2.
And Valentina 1. So Beau and Jeremiah, you notice the security camera right above the back door, aimed out towards the parking lot. August and Valentina, you don't care enough to notice. You just are entering into the facility. Maybe there's a little bit of nerves about seeing Solomon again. Maybe you're just focused on business, or maybe you're August and you just don't give a shit because you didn't do it, so you're not going to get in trouble. Entering into the back of the restaurant, you can hear the clanging of pots and pans. Despite the fact that it is very late in the evening at this point, there are workers still hard at work within the restaurant. Maybe they're preparing the next day's meals. Maybe they're just providing a significant cover for the activities that are happening within. But having made this trip many times before, you end up walking through the back kitchen past several large wire shelves that are filled with dishes and supplies. You go past the freezer nearby where a lot of the goods that can spoil are kept. There are some vegetables positioned off in a cooler nearby, and you enter into the back office. Now, the back office is a fairly cramped space for several individuals, with a desk off to one side, several photographs and post-it notes pinned up on the wall with string connecting the various pictures, as well as a map with several pins stuck in it. There are also shelves with binders lined up, all of them labeled, some of them with dates as early as the late 90s on the binder itself. And there are two individuals. One of them, Solomon Creed, your employer, a man with dark brown hair that is swept back. It's a little bit longer, so it's showing a little bit of shag towards the back, but his beard is well maintained as it encircles his lips. He wears a pretty nice tailored suit and very dark circular sunglasses over his eyes. As you look about the room, you can see that the lighting of the room is very dingy and dull by design, due to the ministry's knack for hating bright lights. The other man is Doberman, who you had met earlier, who stands behind Solomon with his arms crossed over his chest. Also in a suit, he is a wall of muscle and intimidation. The body man, the guard, the executioner, if need arises. But Solomon looks to all of you as you enter into the building, and he reaches over and switches off a closed circuit television monitor off to the side. Well, good evening, loves. Good to see you. Welcome back. How'd everything go out there?
Jeremiah will nod to Solomon and say, pretty well, but before we get into that, he will turn his attention to Doberman and say, I'm going to owe you a favor, man. Beast got a little out of hand, and there's some cosmetic damage to your ride. Let me know how you want to settle up.
You can hear the cracking of knuckles and neck as Doberman rolls his head and lets out a grunt, and Solomon just places a hand on Doberman's chest and says, "Easy there, big guy. They're far more valuable than your ride. I think I'll be taking on that debt, Mr. Lockwood, on behalf of my employee. I'll make sure his vehicle gets taken care of, but a favor is a favor, and you owe me another one. But we'll talk about the details of that when the need arises. Why don't you all have a seat? Let me know how things went tonight." And he gestures across the desk where several chairs, there's 2 chairs positioned on the other side of the desk, but there are a couple more folding chairs up against the wall. To take those chairs out and to sit down would make the room even more cramped and crowded, but there is just enough room for everyone to sit if they desire to do so.
August will move to take one of the chairs already placed out, and sort of recline back into it, looking comfortable.
Jeremiah will go and take the folding chairs out and place them, and then sit in one of them.
I will move to sit in the other folding chair.
Okay, so the 2 chairs by the desk are... Go ahead, Valentina.
Val does not sit. It's more of just the baked in years of being a ghoul and not being allowed to, really. So it's just, she stands and is just like, sorry, hopefully you don't mind if I stay standing.
Not at all. Anyway, let's get to business, shall we? How did things go with Vesper, and how did you find them?
Oh, if we're going to start, we should start from the beginning, really.
By all means.
Appreciate that, as always, Solomon. Well, had a bit of trouble, nothing we couldn't handle, but you're going to notice some minor damage to the vehicle that you allowed us to borrow.
Is that right?
Nothing permanent, but it should be looked at. Might have a little gas leak.
Gas leak?
Just a little one.
Well,
Rounds were exchanged. Oh, sorry, Beau. You have something to say?
a few points during the drive, we were being followed by the circulatory system. The second time, as we tried to evade, they started shooting and it got the gas tank with one of the bullets. Luckily, we were able to temporarily fix it with some duct tape. Good old Southern fixing, but we'll likely need a more permanent solution.
Well, gas tank repair ain't no cheap matter.
Neither is a circulatory system knowing our routes. Luckily enough, we were able to lose them before we delivered. But it's something you should be aware of.
But consider me aware. But unless you're willing to take care of the repairs yourself, that's gonna actually come out of your pay.
I can do that, sir.
More duct tape?
No.
All
Across
right.
the street from the bar, there's across the street and down from the bar, there's a body shop. Should be able to get something situated for you.
Well, if you remedy the problem yourselves, I'll consider us square. But if you don't, just gonna be added to the ledger. I'm sure you understand. But all right. So you encountered a little bit of resistance, nothing that wasn't expected, I'm sure.
No,
What then?
you would have used FedEx if you weren't expecting danger.
Well, yeah, I think you found that package was priceless cargo. Tell me what happened next.
I have no idea what you mean about that. We have no idea what was in it, but anyways, yes, Vesper.
Oh, give me a manipulation and subterfuge roll.
Jeremiah is going to actively roll his eyes at that.
He's definitely doesn't not even care if he knows he's lying to him. This was another one of those moments. Manipulation subterfuge, he says.
If you want to actively attempt, if you don't care enough for him to know, you don't have to roll.
Yeah, then I won't roll.
I'm sure.
Yes, Vesper was quite an interesting individual.
Indeed. So you met the man.
Yes, and he has agreed to your terms, to a meeting, to hear you out, is what he said.
Wonderful. Then he must have liked what we had to offer. I always appreciate that. All right. And it seems like everything went without any issues. I assume that the package arrived undamaged.
Of course.
Good. And hopefully this means a long and upstanding working relationship with Vesper. I'm sure you could tell they're not the type you want to be on the opposite side of conflict with, especially considering how old they are. You caught wind of that, did you?
That
some
and
claims.
also claims were made, indeed. They seem to be quite on the fence, though. You better do some very good convincing.
It's what I do best. How I got all of you here, isn't it? Speaking of which, August, you know what I love best about this working relationship? How honest we are with one another. Just something I enjoy about our arrangement.
I couldn't agree more.
Couldn't you? Well, let's talk about what's next, shall we? You've met Vesper. Trade has been arranged. Until I've met with them, there's very little to be done there. And I'm sure none of you have any intentions to threaten that new working relationship. But what comes next is acquisition. You've proven capable of delivery, but now, if we're going to make this a fortuitous enterprise, we need vessels. And vessels of a wide variety. Now, wonderfully enough, we've got quite a motley group of individuals here, coming from a variety of backgrounds. I'm sure that the four of you can rustle up, let's say, 2 vessels apiece. Do we have any problems with that?
Well, as you know, no two vessels are created equal.
Well, let's just say I will appraise the vessels upon delivery, and if they are not suitable, then they'll have to be disposed with, won't they?
Well, if we were to be given any criteria by which to avoid that, wastefulness is a sin.
Certainly. I need them healthy, of a reasonable age. Let's say no older than 40, no younger than 20. And let's be sure they won't be missed. So nobody of great renown or importance, nobody of notoriety. Somebody that could just disappear and never be heard from again, and that wouldn't be an issue. So take that as you will and decide for yourselves what that means. But the less strings tying them to the rest of the kind, the better. I don't need anyone looking into what we're doing here, and the circulatory system has already been surprisingly reckless in their approach. We don't want to mirror their mistakes.
Understood.
Good.
He'll look at Valentina with a cockeyed and say, "Speaking of kind, you can't possibly expect," and he'll look to Valentina.
And why can't I? They're wishing to join the fold one day. They need to know how to properly hunt and appraise, don't they? And he looks towards Valentina.
Valentina nods, and there's a very, small smile that's kind of creeping upon her face.
Although, if you don't trust their abilities, August, you could always bring me 4.
Well, almost, of course, and I could be mistaken. I have been in the past. Sounds like you're volunteering that offer in some capacity? As you've put it, this is a sort of training for them?
Yeah. And I think They look ripe for the challenge. They seem eager enough, and I think they're capable enough. Aren't you, Miss Ramos?
Another nod and just a side eye towards August.
But however it gets done, I only care that it gets done. 2 vessels apiece, a total of 8. But if you're feeling ambitious, I'll always take more. I can't say no to a good tip. Agreed?
Agreed.
Excellent. Any other questions then?
You wouldn't
Wendy,
happen to have oh sorry.
When do you want them by?
Well, time is of the essence in a business such as this, and the blood trade has been severely lacking as of late, at least in the tower of all things. So let's say 2 weeks. I don't think that should be a problem for 3 capable kindred and a very, very ambitious ghoul. That all being said, I should have you know, there's been a very eager Lasombra asking questions around town as of lately. Curious about the state of her possession. Now I've managed to deflect and defer any such inquiries that have come my way. But I think you'll find the more eager she gets, the more problematic it can be. So if you do this well and expeditiously, I'm happy to continue to use all of my resources to ensure that distance is kept. But if it takes too long, well, don't let it take too long. Very good. There's nothing else that needs to be told or revealed. I suppose that's all for this evening. Good work, all of you, on the delivery, and take care of the van, would you? Let's just say it's a gift.
Gotcha.
Anything else, Doberman? The tall, muscular man hasn't taken his eyes off Jeremiah since the confession, but he just slowly shakes his head no. Well, if
Keep
the
eye
dog's
contact
good,
with him.
if the dog's good, I'm good. You're free to go.
Val will be the first to the door, opening it and waiting for the other 3 to get through.
Pleasure doing business with you as always. And I'll see you next time.
Love that honesty.
He'll stand slowly and leave.
Oh, stand and offer head nods, bowing slightly. Till next time. And we'll walk out.
When Beau leaves, Jeremiah will look to Solomon and say, been meaning to have a chat for a while. Scheduling hasn't been working out. Got time tonight?
I got time if you do. But time is money, so let's just make sure we stay on topic.
Certainly. And he'll move around, get into one of the chairs directly in front of the desk, and just sort of give give the rest of the crew kind of a wave as the door gets closed.
So as the three of you depart, your Malkavian coterie mate being left behind, what's going through each of your minds after this encounter with Solomon and everything that happened in the parking lot? We'll start with August, then Beau, then Valentina, before we move on to our next scene.
You just happy he was able to learn something out of this, even if it was just a bit more of Solomon's mannerisms and how he handles situations. That sort of thing is what he really goes after in these interactions. So as he passes by Val at the door, the look that they give him, the conversation they had about them, they just can't help but usually having that shit-eating grin on their face of, I mean, you do some thinking about this later.
Well,
Their mind is on what type of vessel to try and collect. And as they're thinking, their mind drifts to their family. Most importantly, their twin sister, Bethany. She's in the city. They want to see her, but they need to keep their distance. Even if she doesn't remember them, they want to keep her safe. And that thought just keeps circling in their mind as they walk.
and Valentina.
Valentina looking at August the entire time while holding the door, and then seeing his shit-eating smile, kind of puts a hand out onto his shoulder and is just like, I need to have a conversation with you. It's important. Less of what's in there.
Oh, you never have to ask. Come now.
Fine. And as Beau then leaves and she closes the door for for them to have their conversation inside the room, one of the things that's racing through her mind is, all right, I think I'm gonna need some more firepower just in case if she's sniffing around here again.
All right. So with that, let's transition to the private conversation between Jeremiah and Solomon Creed. Jeremiah, as you remain seated in the office, the door closing behind your coterie mates as they depart, Solomon leans back in his chair, it giving a little squeak. You can hear the wheels rattling on the office chair as he turns to face you, folding his hands in front of him on the desk. All right, Mr. Lockwood, you have my full attention.
I should hope so. We came to an arrangement, you and I, and this blood trade night to night, it's got to be done, and I'm willing to do my part on that level of it. But I've been thinking about the real reason I'm here. Helping the movement take this city. Helping you and the movement take this city. Might be a weird question. Have you ever read Dune? Frank Herbert sci-fi novel a couple decades ago.
Can't say I'm one for sci-fi, science fiction. I find the real world to be far more profitable, but what did you have in mind? What are you referring to?
First of all, it's worth your time. It has a lot to say about politics, the nature of charismatic leaders, and using faith, and it's worth your time. But there's a part. See, there's these people who have trained themselves and gone through like meditation and modifications to their brains. That they're like computers. They can do calculations of math and probabilities all in their heads. And there's a conversation about one of these people, about how you can manipulate them, how you can control them. And the way you do it, at least according to this one character, is you control their information. I'm not gonna say that I'm on anywhere on a mentat level, but information is important. If you want accurate results, we need to be straight with each other.
Couldn't agree more.
So, long-term strategy. The night tonight, important. Right there with you on that. We got to start thinking about the future. I know you're thinking about the future, but we need to be on the same page. So let's say we go forward a couple months, a couple years, and we've done it. We've moved the needle. The cam is out or on the back foot. What does the city look like?
Well, if I'm being entirely honest, I've made a good living as a survivor in this city for quite some time. Even when the cam had its stranglehold on the area, it needed information. It needed eyes, and I was happy to provide it, all for a fee, of course, and the ability to go underneath the guise of the very violent sheriff. When I saw the cracks forming, when the prince died, sheriff died, and their predecessor, that buttoned up suit, took charge, I knew the time was right. Timing is important in all these things, and there's no better time than after watching the blood trade fall to shambles. But that also means there's a lot of vultures circling. Now, the circulatory system is, of course, the main trade in town. They were brought in to accommodate the loss in the local blood trade. And they have very deep pockets, lots of resources and connections outside of the city. Reinforcements to bring in. They seem to be a bottomless pit of possibilities. That's why disrupting their business locally is so important. We need to show them as unreliable. Because one thing that can be said for them for quite some time is that they're very reliable. They get what they need and they get it timely like. That's why others are willing to shell out so much for it. So what does it look like? I'd like to see the circulatory system gone, out of the area, finding this business endeavor to be less than profitable and more costly. Now I think we've done a pretty decent job of that so far, but we could do better. We've merely proven ourselves as competition, given them a black eye. But it's going to take a whole lot more to see them gone. They're stubborn. They're egotistical. It's a benefit and a curse for them.
All right.
Now,
valid point.
There's also the issue of others within the movement that have taken up residence here. There's a baron up in Tarpon Springs, Sebastian de Leon, a toreador. He's well embedded within the local cartel. Could be a good resource and ally to have, but could also be a very dangerous enemy. Now, I personally would love to see us making inroads with him. I'd prefer the alliance of it all. Or having resources like that of the cartel could be very, very useful, especially in the disruption of the blood trade. But one thing that I've learned about De Leon is he's a shrewd businessman and his loyalties are at times questionable. He's dallied with the Camarilla and is actually fairly new to the movement, only a couple of years now. Whereas those of us, like you and myself, been in the game a lot longer, perhaps even day oneers.
You're not wrong. All right. So, structure-wise, I know, bad word amongst the anarchs, but Cam is out. Circulatory system is displaced or circumvented, or however it comes out. And we got you, and we got this Toreador Baron. You think that's enough in terms of territory control? Because I hear what you're saying about the system. While we're tearing down, we need to be thinking about building up.
Couldn't agree more. A building without structure doesn't stand. It leans. And I don't lean for anyone, unless I'm pressing upon them. No, I don't think the Toreador Baron's going to be enough, but there's a few other fledgling barons out there, a Ventru. They're all a little too tower-leaning for my liking. Even though they claim themselves fans of freedom, those in those families can be easily drawn back in with the right offer.
You're not wrong. Well, if I may expound a little bit, I think that's mostly a good sign. There's a saying amongst, more freedom-leaning mortal politicians. Governance is best when it's local. Power is more efficiently used when it's constrained, when it's in a narrow avenue. So a handful of barons across the city, hopefully working together in cooperation to keep the tower out, to keep the Masquerade in check, and keep everyone else's freedoms where they need to, in a good place. That's my thinking. I'll talk to this Sebastian. I'll put in a word for a meeting with him. If you can give me the name of this Ventru, I'll give an appraisal as well. But yeah, I think making sure that the whole territory has coverage, has people who can focus on it. And then when there are bigger issues, the barons can talk. Now, of course, we don't need something like a prince. But there is something to be said for the idea of a shot caller. When there's conflict between barons, when there's serious issues with the Masquerade, someone needs to make the call. Someone needs to make the unpopular call. Something to think about.
I agree. So I ask you this, Jeremiah, and you know how much I value honesty. Do you have ambitions to become one of these barons?
If it works out. Small area, not the whole thing. I don't see myself as a shot caller. I can advise the shot caller. I can work with the shot caller. But, like I said, especially in an anarchistic framework, it's best to keep it small.
Tampa's a large city, and I already know that there are those former Camarilla patriots who are recognizing the forest for the trees and the situation they find themselves in, and many of them are turning their ambitions elsewhere, either out of the city or out of the sect. There's a lot of property and profit to be gained here in this city. And while I do seek to move, and while the idea of being a shop caller is very appealing, I'm also very aware that it paints a very large target on anyone who would call them such. Why I haven't done it before now. It was easier to be the man behind the scenes. The Wizard of Oz, if you will.
I think we share that quality. So either, this is something for you to consider. Either you want to put that target on your back, or we need to start thinking about someone who we can tailor something for.
I'll certainly consider it. I think the best course of action right now is to get a really good lay of the land of all the major players in the area outside of the camp. I've heard that there's this Autarchus running the Asylum franchise over across the bridge. Seems to be of your family.
Yeah, they tend to. I can pencil it in. Get a look at them.
Word is, they're not on the more stable side of the family. They're a little bit, well, dangerous and reckless. They're also either playing a very, very smart game, or they're fearless. Either way, it makes them a dangerous individual to be dealt with. But because of your ties, I think that you could have more success than most others in making contact with them.
I don't mind playing the family card when I need to.
The name's Alexei Ivanov, also known as Al. They were a terror out in St. Petersburg for a while before settling in after making their mark and making their very, very dangerous nature known, to the point that neither side of the fence was willing to dabble with them too much. One baron did, and they found themselves without a barony and a head shortly after.
Great.
Just want you to know what you're walking into. Like I said, honesty is the best policy.
I agree. Maybe you can confirm a rumor. Prince, the sheriff, the former ones. Word on the street that it was wolves.
Word on the street is correct. He actually reaches over to the map that's hung on the wall and pulls it off of the wall, and you realize there's another map laid beyond. And the map beneath has lines drawn around particular areas, around downtown, around the college. What I've gained intelligence on is that the Cam and the Wolves are under some sort of temporary truce agreement. In the wake of the shift of power and their inevitable collapse, it seems their prince has gotten a little bit cowardly and believes them to be a grave danger, a threat. So they're trying to buy themselves time to rebuild. However, the terms of this agreement is that the wolves can't mess within these particular territories. But outside of those territories, it's fair game. Anyone caught of our kind by these wolves, their lives are forfeit. Which means movements in this area, they need to be as quiet as possible. Because we, in all of our power, such as it is, stand no chance against them. We don't know their numbers, but if they were able to take out the former prince and sheriff, in one fell swoop. That says something.
We got an angle on it? Any ins?
At the moment, no, but we're always on the lookout for it.
I ran with some gangrel about 6 years back. I'll see if I can throw up anything up the line.
If they were willing to make a deal with the Camarilla, that says something. That says they're negotiable, open-minded, not just looking to off every single kindred in sight. At least
Good
not
sign.
yet.
Yeah, good sign. But I think it behooves them to know who they're getting in bed with. And if there's a better offer on the table, something that doesn't reek of old world authoritarianism. Like I said, I know some guys. I'll send up a smoke signal or however the hell else. I don't know. But I'll try.
Careful, Jeremiah. You're making yourself very valuable to me. Might make that ambition to become a baron a little bit more distant.
I'm making myself valuable to the movement, Solomon.
Fair enough. But I like where your head's at.
You got anything else for me?
Well, you make contact with De Leon. You make contact with Al. And you find us an inroad to those wolves. Or at least something to stave them off for a while. I think you'll have done more than enough. And keep an eye on the others in your coterie. That thin blood acts like they got a bulge in their pants, but really it's just a rolled up sock.
Yeah. He does seem to have a problem with forthrightness, doesn't he? And there's just like a Grinch smile coming on his face.
Bothers
I'll have
me
a talk
more
with him.
is that he doesn't care whether we know or not. And I know about his ties. And I know what he would make us think he is. Just be mindful of that one. Again, power is very, very appetizing, especially to those of that bloodline. They forced their way in, and they have been parading it in our faces ever since. The right offer could turn that one's coat as well.
He and I are going to have a long talk.
Just make sure he knows his place in this world. Yes, I understand that the movement is much more open to those of the thinner breeds. But they're still fragile, and they need us as much as we need them. Maybe more so.
You're not wrong. And Jeremiah will stand up, move to turn to the door, and then stop. One more thing. The box. Let's just say the smell of vitae is unmistakable. I don't care. As long as it wasn't one of ours.
Don't be silly. One of ours is an asset. One of theirs can be lunch.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Good talk, Solomon. I'll get on that stuff.
As always, Mr. Lockwood, look forward to hearing about your progress.
And he'll turn. Was Doberman in the room for all of that?
He was, but he remained silent and still the whole time.
He'll look to Doberman and say, Genuinely sorry, man. If he wants to take care of it, that's fine, but I still owe you.
You see, roll me a wits and insight.
Five successes.
While his face is very stony and stoic, the way he nods his head shows a genuine respect for one who takes accountability. Obviously, they knew you did it, and any attempt to lie would have been seen as cowardice. But the fact that you took it on the chin right when you walked into the building clearly meant something. And in a way, like in a lot of those role-playing video games, you can see Doberman approves of this.
And I'll offer him the knucks to see if he'll take a knuckle.
He looks down at it for a moment, but then you hear like a huff as if it's like a stifled chuckle as he reaches out and meets fists with you. But meeting his fist is like meeting the granite wall as they make contact. But he just says, Go on, get.
Have a good night. And he'll open the door, and walk out.
As you step out into the restaurant, what's going through your mind after this meeting, this private meeting with Solomon?
All the gears are spinning. He's taking in the new information that he got from him, especially about August. That's interesting. But he is very, very keenly aware that he just walked out of the room of a snake, no pun intended. And he knows he's going to have to stay on his game. Like the things that have gone wrong tonight with like him specifically are really getting to him. Like he managed to make it pretty much even, but there's that voice in the back of his head, that voice that, you know, his it sounds an awful lot like his father, just needling at him about every little thing that he fucked up. And there's a softer voice too, sounds a lot like his mom, just consoling and nurturing, but tiny little jabs, little comparisons here and there. And he's trying to just keep it all together, trying to keep all the gears spinning. And he just sort of absentmindedly walks out to get a car. He calls one of the drivers that we as a coterie have, and spends the ride back just in his head.
You were given several new names. Sebastian de Leon, Sebastian the Lion, and Alexei Ivanov, Al, Malkavian, a franchisee of the asylum, and an autarchus. Several puzzle pieces have been dumped out on the table. What image will take shape as they're slowly put together? That remains to be seen. Hopefully, it's all for the movement. This is where we'll go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story. St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Chromatic Creations, Panchi Artista, Ember Fox Dice, Champs Tramps, and Howl and Hop Tea. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetbynight.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our programs, you can do so at ko-fi.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling. Welcome back. As we return, we find ourselves outside of Evanesce Tattoo and Piercing Parlor in Ybor City. It's been about 2 nights since the meeting with Solomon Creed. Valentina and August have a peculiar interest in the new client of Solomon Creed after their last meeting. Now, August, you were able to sate your growing hunger over the couple of days in between, but go ahead and make a rouse check for me to awaken this evening to see if that ever-growing hunger starts to crawl its way back.
That is a success.
Okay. So your hunger stays the same at 1 as you arise for the evening. Now, being a thin blood, you have the benefit of not having to blush to go out into public, having a very lifelike demeanor. So as you meet up with Valentina and head out to Evanesce, you arrive, parking your newly acquired van out front. You have a few moments between the two of you before you decide to head into the parlor. So the scene is yours.
We really ought to make some modifications to this thing now that it's ours. Maybe a different color so we're not targeted like we were last time.
I'm working on that. It's all part of the deal with the body shop, so.
Yeah, and then maybe a roll cage as well.
That, and I'm probably gonna have them put in some extra seatbelts in the back. I think that might be a good idea. But more importantly, have you do you have any experience making ammunition?
Well, not really. On the chemistry side of things, I'd say yes, but not fully, no.
All right. Do you know where I could possibly procure a mask?
Maybe.
All right. I want to invest into some Dragon's Breath ammunition for my pistol. I need something to make sure that I'm not going to show up on extra lists. So.
Or your pistol.
Yeah. I found some online.
You found some on... Well, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mask, yes.
Okay, cool. Just needed to make sure that, awesome. And then the other thing is, you ever make chloroform?
All right, so this is the line of questioning here that I'm gathering, and is going a direction that, is gonna come back to us.
Probably, yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, what is it? We both need to get 2 people, and I don't have any real good powers for that.
So your solution is chloroform.
Knock them out. Take them to Solomon, and if they're not up to his standards, kill him.
You owe me one, and we'll just leave it at that. Don't worry
That's
about
fine. Cool. So another question for you. How old is Vesper?
As far as it's relevant, older than you could comprehend. Several hundred years.
That's rare, isn't it?
In terms of its rarity, well, there's no real way to know that with certainty, but I'd say yes, especially one of his ilk.
Gotcha.
August, go ahead and roll me an intelligence and occult.
Finally, something I'm good at. That's 5 successes with a crit.
Absolutely. So, in the studies you have been able to do, primarily the teachings that your mentor has provided, it is in fact becoming more and more rare to run into kindred of the age of Vesper, or at least the assumed age of Vesper. You've heard about this phenomenon happening recently, more of like a boogeyman or a myth called the beckoning. It's a phenomenon that has been drawing elder kindred away from the cities that they've called home for generations and is taking them off to the Middle East where they're never heard or seen again. Now, this has been happening over little less, about a decade or so during this time, but there isn't any actual proof of what's happening other than reports of elder kindred disappearing. Now, it's possible they could be going to ground, they could be going to sleep. This has been heard of before. However, it's sudden and unexpected. So for Vesper, if he is as old as he says he is, to still be here, either the beckoning is a myth, or they must be extremely powerful and have some sort of secret that's keeping them here. Because otherwise, why would they be here?
So with that, you'll see sort of August just in his own mind thinking, as you've seen him commonly do, right after you ask him a very pointed question. And then he'll sort of snap out of it. So, is that it?
Every time you do that, you worry me. You know that? When you zone out for a second.
Speaking about worrying people, there's a very pointed, let's say, implied conversation that you had with Solomon.
What do you mean?
What do I mean? That's my thing. Okay, listen. Do you really think that's a good idea?
What? Taking people?
Fine. No, it's okay. I just think
No,
you need
no,
to think
no.
about that a little more than you think you do.
What? Taking people?
Being more attached to him than you already are.
I, unfortunately, am in a situation where I have to be. So, I can
You know, I
either...
thought that as well, and then we had that event, and then it wasn't so. And that was just you and me, a ghoul and, well, the unsaid thing.
Alright. Listen, when it comes down to it, I want to be more like them. I have to be. There's no way I'm going to let Athame take me again. I can't let that happen.
There's a difference between I want to be more like them and I must be for my own safety. And you just said both. Do you really want to be like Solomon? Do you want to do what he's doing? Do you want to be chloroforming people in alleyways for an eternity?
I'm not sure.
Well, you should probably get sure before you take that step that you can't redo. So, with that said, let's go take some steps we can't undo. And he'll open the door, step out, and he'll shut the door rather loud and sort of look at you through the window.
Come on, we don't need to be causing damage to the new ride. You know, opens the door, shuts the door much more softly.
Now, Valentina, you've had to probably change the tape that's holding on to the gas tank, keeping that leak in check a few times over the last couple of days, but you can still smell the faint odor of gasoline even outside of the vehicle. You're probably going to have to get that checked sooner rather than later, but for the most part, it seems to be holding for the time being. In front of you stands the long staircase leading up to the second floor, the brilliant Evanesce banner framed in purple hanging over the doorway. As you climb the steps and enter in through the front door, the sound of a gong rings out, heralding your arrival. The parlor is empty for the most part, but for this time of night, that's not too unusual, especially due to the strange hours this business keeps. But you can hear the heavy pounding beats of a heavy metal anthem echoing through the speakers. Enough so that you almost wince ever so slightly coming in. You can hear the sounds of the glass of the business rattling ever so slightly with the thumping beats. But out of the back room arrives Vesper in a similar manner as he did last time. As he steps in, his multicolored eyes take you in, and he raises his eyebrows slightly with surprise and curiosity. Back so soon. This is an unexpected treat.
I'm glad you see it that way. This is my friend here, Valentina. She can make her own introductions.
Nice to meet you. Like you said, I'm Val.
You see Vesper's brow furrow as he takes in Valentina and looks between the two of you. A whole conversation happening in his own mind, it seems, before he just says, "The pleasure is mine. So what brings you to my humble establishment this evening? Are you looking to have some work done?"
Very possibly, but that depends on a few things.
Such as?
Well, let's get to it. Is there some place we can speak a bit more private, or is this fine here?
You see Vesper walk up to the counter and reach below the counter service, and then you hear the lock of the door click behind you, locking it shut. With another press, blinds start to lower over the windows, the little whirring of machinery indicating the automated blinds that have been installed. I think we both know you'd prefer to speak to me here. There are things you might not want to see elsewhere, and not until we become better acquainted. Come in. Can I offer you a refreshment?
Well, as you know, this one here doesn't exactly partake in that kind, but I'm good myself. Came prepared.
Maybe they don't partake yet, but they have the look of one who wants to one day.
We were just talking about that, actually. Do you have anything to add?
It is not a choice made lightly. Unless you truly understand the implications of what it is you ask for. The unending hunger. The passage of time. The boredom. carefully, assuming you have the choice.
I am. But there's also another thing I wanted to ask, because I see, you do tattoos and the like. Would you be able to do a cover-up?
My dear, I could do better than that, if that's what you truly desire. I could make it disappear entirely, along with any other imperfections you feel you may have.
Definitely want to get rid of this tattoo first and foremost, and maybe we can discuss more work on the rest of me later.
Well, if you wish to make it disappear, the price is slightly higher than a simple kind favoring cover-up. Which do you desire most?
I want it gone. Completely.
Very well. Would you wish to make an appointment to give you time to think, or is it something you would require this very evening?
I can take some time. But
It's up to you. As much as I've enjoyed our visits so far. But if you wish to take some time, so be it. But I am prepared when you are for a permanent removal.
all right. What would that cost be? I'm assuming not money. Maybe it is money, I don't know.
You really are new to this world. No. Money would not be required. I suppose it would be a sacrifice of sorts. Whether it be from your strength of arm, the nimbleness in your legs, or maybe just that healthy pallor. But to deal with one, another must sacrifice. Or you find me someone to take from. A potter needs clay, after all. So either you are the clay, or you provide the clay.
Gotcha.
Think
Def-
carefully about this choice. For once it is done, it cannot be undone. Not easily.
Thank you.
Of course.
Val looks over at August and is like, I believe you also wanted to say some things.
Oh, of course, I always do, you know. Vesper. I know you haven't had your meeting, at least I assume so, with Solomon quite yet, have you?
No, that one is enjoying taking his time. But those of us in this life tend to do that.
Well, I wouldn't give him that much credit, but, do as he must.
Wouldn't you?
He's an interesting individual, he has his uses, and he is powerful, otherwise you wouldn't be agreeing to at least hear him out.
What does power have to do with it? Did I not just mention the boredom? Perhaps it's just entertainment.
Perhaps. Yes. Well, I would like some assurances, however they may come, of a working relationship between us in some capacity, whether or not your boredom is sated with Solomon or not.
What kind of assurances would those be?
Well, that we can have dealings, that I can come here and speak to you, among other things.
So, you wish to deal with me? That takes a great deal of confidence for the lamb to ask the wolf for peace. But I'm curious and I am entertained by this notion. What does this working relationship entail to you?
Well, you said last we spoke that there was something I was not revealing, and perhaps an opportunity to find out what that is and see where it goes. And in doing so, the possible interesting and entertaining things that come out of such a thing.
I suppose that would depend on how interesting and valuable what it is you have to offer is.
I won't overstate myself here. I'm young. You know this. You know I have a facade of sorts. What do you see through? What can you see? Something interesting you said last time, but take your shot. Take your guess.
The smell of life still clings to you. I could swear you have the slowest of heartbeats, though I know that to be a lie. Your skin still colored and warm, though I don't see hunger in your eyes as I would others who attempt to take such a facade. Was it of much effort to dress yourself up this evening?
Actually, I thought I looked quite good, no? You have notes?
I have no issue with your fashion, but I think we both know that a certain extra effort is required to ready oneself for public appearances. Did it take you much effort beyond your choice of suit?
I'd rather say some find it easier than others.
Yes, the young ones often do. Well, the youngest ones.
I propose a trade. One that I can already tell you'll be interested in, at least in my direction, but let's see from yours. Blood. You know that warlocks have a certain sense about themselves, about detecting things, understanding things, and I am new on my journey. And blood as powerful as yours would propel me in a direction that I least consider that I would like to go, and in return, those services could be offered back to you.
You wish for my blood?
Just a small amount. And in return, I offer my own and possibly even the services that you'll see me render this evening.
Your wish to get any amount of my blood would take all of yours. I know what the warlocks can do. I know the secrets the blood carries, and those secrets are far more value than you have in your entire form. I can get you other blood, though.
Is that something you see yourself as specializing in?
I see myself as an artist. But unlike artists who prefer manufactured materials, materials of a modern age, I take the art of the form, the figure, the most natural of ingredients. If there is something you desire, I may already have it, and if I don't have it, I will. But make no mistake, what's mine is mine, and no one else's.
Of course,
If
I've
I
never seen.
offer it out, it is to borrow, not to own.
So, there is a deal to be made then. My blood for yours?
No! Did you
No?
not hear the first part? My blood is more valuable than your entire body.
That is to be sure. Well,
You are very eager, very ambitious. Why do you stay this way?
for now, I still have things to gain. As I've stated before, very humbly so, I know very little. And that is something I wish to remedy.
You speak with an eagerness of someone who should know a great deal more. You speak with an arrogance of someone with nothing to lose and only much to gain. If you ever wish to have my blood, you will have to take it. And the attempt will be fruitless. But if you wish knowledge, if you wish to earn that arrogance that you strode in here with, that I can assist you with. But the price is steep.
August's face grows serious, then curls into a smile again. Then name the price. Even if it is just a small bit, something to start on. That was the whole point of it in the first place. I don't wish your blood to curse it. And now I greatly understand, of course, and he'll nod, the disrespect I have showed you.
The price for my tutelage, for my knowledge, for my respect, I want your soul.
I have an inkling of what that means, and I don't believe that is what you mean. Or else
What-
you would have already taken it.
A soul taken is only so good. A soul given is better.
So put it into terms that my young and arrogant mind can understand then.
I will educate you. I will tell you all about the many things I have learned in this life and the unlife. I'll expand your entire world. And I'll let you stroll around and enjoy it for a little while, feeling superior, feeling knowledgeable, feeling strong. But then a day will come when it ends and rejoins the whole. And you may have some say in what day that is. But when I say it's time, it's time. Could be a few hundred years from now. Could be a few months. The Tremere loved to spend and spread the propaganda of soul eaters. Now you've finally met one. How much is power worth to you, Augustus Adelaide III?
I'd like to answer that question one day, hopefully, before I am ended.
Like I said, if you're entertaining enough, perhaps you'll get to enjoy what I have to offer for a while. If you bore me, what was it I said about endless hunger?
Proposal just like this one was actually, well, forced upon me not too long ago.
Again,
Tremere within the
taking
tower.
is no fun. Offered, given freely. I know what the Tremere do. I remember when they started.
You've been most generous with the information that you have given me.
I prefer to be straightforward in matters such as power. You are asking me to give up some of mine in the form of knowledge. But like I said, what's mine is mine and will be mine again when I deem fit.
Well, I have very little of it now, so
Which is why we're even having this conversation. Had you a great deal more, maybe I would have taken it.
I have no doubt. So, you wouldn't be the only one hunting for it. Wouldn't even be the first.
Oh, you have a great many buyers, do you?
No. Not like you, of course not. There are none like you, and you know this to be true. But you take on a great deal of enemies if this deal were to be able to be struck.
I have had many before. I will have many to come. And I stand here unafraid, unwavering.
Good. I think we have a deal.
At this point, as Vesper leans back, despite the fact that it was a clear night with the stars up above, you hear the sound of thunder. Very well. Have you heard of a furcus?
Maybe the idea of it, but I don't believe in the way that you mean it.
A furcus is a place of great power, older than time itself. A place that draws from the energy of the ground, of the earth. There are a few places like this throughout the world that are interconnected. And here, there happens to be one of them. In this very city. The problem is, this particular furcus has attracted a very feral and canine kind of population. Now, I could, of course, wait until they die of natural causes in time. But if you wish to entertain me, and to truly learn my secrets, you will find a way for me to access this furcus.
Sounds like it'll be interesting, as you said.
It will be very, very entertaining. At least to
And
see
most
the
difficult.
attempt.
Well,
You are so ambitious. You don't even seem the least bit disturbed by the notion of this. How have you not died already?
I think you'll come to figure out exactly why I haven't. In time.
If you wish to even begin to learn what I have to offer, you must learn more about yourself. I can't take you in this pathetic, empty vessel that you appear to be. He reaches down beneath the counter and pulls out what looks to be an old, worn business card. I've had no use of this ever since I acquired it. I've simply been waiting for someone who could. And you seem just like that someone. And he places it on the counter and slides it across. And what you see on one side is a cartoon drawing of a potato in a wizard hat and the words "later tater" inscribed upon it. And then on the opposite side, it says Spud and a phone number underneath it. They are like you, but their vessel is much more full. See, there is some things that you can do that I cannot, and I could make use of those things for now. And in exchange, your learning will begin.
August will look down at it. He'll pick it up, very gently place it within the inner pocket of his jacket. My appreciation.
Of course it is. I would warn you. If you speak to others about the deal we have made and the arrangement we have made, I will know. This is not a deal made lightly or openly offered to any who come through my door. But that hunger I see in your eyes is for more than just blood. And that is entertaining. Make sure your pet doesn't speak of it either.
Will do.
Good. Call them, meet them, learn from them. Show me that ambition isn't just for show.
Finally, something to do.
The first of many.
And he'll give a look to Val that says with his eyes, it's time to leave.
I agree.
Let me know when you want your mistake removed, Valentina Ramos.
It'll probably be sooner rather than later. So
I look forward to it. With that, he pushes the button and the blinds start to raise again. As you go to pull on the door, it's locked, but then a moment later opens again. Stepping out onto the stairs that lead down to the street. What's going through your minds after this conversation with Vesper? A much more intense conversation than the first. August, we'll start with you.
He has realized that for the first time in his own life, he's made a very permanent decision. And the act he puts on, not only as the clans he pretends to portray, but the one that is outward to everyone except himself, seems to be working so far. And his mask slips for a moment as he steps to the stairwell before it reasserts itself. And he begins to walk down, almost looking carefree, to the steps, down to the van below.
Valentina.
Val is absolutely astonished by some of the information that she has just passively learned through that conversation. Like, oh, so this guy is old. Might be an idea. This is an avenue.
As you've entered out or exited out back onto the street, what was a previously clear night is now overcast with clouds. The weather shifting rapidly, which normally wouldn't be unusual for Florida. But normally, such weather is forecast. Tonight, it wasn't. For the storm is coming. We move on now to our final scene of the evening, where Beau Walker makes herself a hurricane. Davis Islands is one of the most luxurious neighborhoods around the downtown Tampa area. Across a bridge from Tampa General Hospital lies a kingdom of mansions and wealth, power and esteem. Every house has multi-car garages and multiple floors to match. And anyone who's native to Florida knows you don't build up, build out, because the storms will tear down height. But this neighborhood stands in defiance of that. Because wealth, well, it can buy you almost anything. From the strongest materials of construction to the fancy vehicles that can be seen driving to and from the properties nearby. And in the world of darkness, that kind of wealth and power is accrued through manipulation, through deception, and through patience, at least amongst the kindred. Beau Walker, you find yourself in such a place, the home of your sire, Talia Saphira, one of the larger homes in the neighborhood of the Davis Islands. A well-manicured lawn with bushes trimmed into sculptures ornamenting it. This is a monument to exuberance and art. It was a place that once you would have called the greatest place on earth. It was a place once you would have called a home to be shared between lovers. What do you call it now?
Prison. Even if I'm not there full time, holds the one person who has more sway over me than anybody in my life.
As this scene begins, I'd like you to make a rouse check, as it has now been 3 days since your meeting with Solomon Creed.
Hunger increased.
Okay. You find yourself entering into the home of Talia a little hungrier. You're here for a performance. And as the butler brings you into the sitting room, there are candles everywhere. Normally, this would be a terrifying sight for a kindred, but you have an unnatural sense of calm wash over you. One that you didn't manifest yourself. She's always had that kind of power over you. to make your chest heave when she wants to make your spirit melt. She wants to. Just like one of those bushes outside, she has this ability to shape you in any way she desires. And at one time, you would have willingly allowed it. But after finding her in the arms of another, after learning of her predilections towards passion, now not so much. But as your eyes move away from the candle, or rather pulled away from the candles, there you see her. She is as magnificent as every good memory you have of her. And still somehow even better than that. For she sits upon an overstuffed armchair in a long white gown that just pools around the floor at her feet. Not a single marking upon the gown. Not a drop of blood. Not a hint of sweat. Perfect and unaltered. Like a clean white canvas, or an essence of purity. And even though she is anything but pure and the furthest thing possible from it, in the light of the glowing candles, she looks like an angel come to earth, ready to sweep you away from this life of darkness and hunger. The hunger you felt in your core, aching at your stomach and your chest, your throat and the back of your head, in this moment is replaced with a different kind of hunger. A hunger for approval. A hunger to be loved and appreciated, acknowledged, owned. Roll me a composure and resolve check.
Total failure.
In times past, the pain and the agony of what was done, the history you two shared, might have broken this trance that she has on you. But not today. The memories of that hurt, of that evil, of that pain almost evaporate like mist. All there is the passion, the need, the beauty of it all. As you stand transfixed in the presence of your sire, she looks to you, her eyes gold, blue, and beautiful, framed by a golden draping of hair that sits just so. framing her face. Oh, she says, and hearing her name or your name come from her lips is like the most beautiful of music. Welcome home.
You look as beautiful as the day I met you. And Beau will walk forward, extending their left hand as they kneel before her, the ring that she had given them now on their finger instead of a chain hidden under their shirt.
She takes your hand, and even with calloused fingers from guitar strings, even with worn palms from years of labor on the farm, when she touches your hand, it's like the smoothest of silk, the softest. She takes your hand in hers, her fingers pausing along the ring. You kept it. I'd hoped you would.
They'll kiss the back of her hand and then place her knuckles to their forehead for a brief moment before looking back up into her eyes. Can't seem to get myself to get rid of it.
What we have isn't so easily gotten rid of. Oh, Gene Walker. What we have is eternal.
Do you really believe that?
She tilts her head to the side, her face smooth as porcelain, becoming ever so cracked as wrinkles form, as her eyes soften, her brows raising slightly. I've never doubted it for a moment.
You asked me here for a performance. Are there any particular songs you want to hear?
She continues to hold your hand, caressing it, before raising her other hand to stroke gently down your cheek. You know the one, because it's the song of my heart.
Which one would that be? Want to hear it from your lips? Sorry.
It's okay. Unchained melody, but in my mother tongue.
Oh, if I could still blush, my face would be as red as a damn tomato right now.
Not yet. Later.
So when you have questions, given the nature of why I texted you after all this time,
No. I just wanted you. All I've wanted. When you left, you took a piece of me with you. I could never be whole without you by my side. And even if I only have you for these fleeting moments, I think we should make the most of them so that we can both feel whole again.
yeah.
Will you play for me? Not as a debt, but as a confession.
I will. And they will maneuver the guitar they had strapped to their back around to the front and begin playing the first song that they learned after Talia had taught them her mother tongue, which is Jolly Sailor Bold.
Okay. Give me a charisma and performance.
And add presence because of awe.
Sure. As you begin to sing and play your guitar, the Russian doesn't come as smoothly as it used to. It kind of catches in your throat in the form of, well, sobs. You feel the red tears roll down your face as you sink into the perfection of a moment you had been denying yourself. That dalliance, that affair seems so petty now, so meaningless. As you close your eyes, squeezing them shut, you find them opening again as her voice joins in with yours. Give me a wits and resolve check.
Messy critical.
Okay. How many successes?
2 both were criticals. So 4 successes.
Okay. Your hunger goes up by 1 as the beast takes hold, but in an unusual way. Because you don't just want blood. You want heat. You want warmth. You want to feel alive again. And before you know it, you feel those soft hands on top of yours, wrapping around you from behind, as if out of the movie Ghost. You hear her voice echoing in your ear. And as the last sounds fade out of the song, your nose ignites as the blood starts to well from her open wrist. Let us be one again, as we always should have been, my child.
I will take her wrist and shakingly bring it to their lips and start to drink.
You've had quite a bit of blood since the last time you were together.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've had cats and rats, pigs and cows, sheep. And while each of those have their own tastes, their own satisfactions, nothing holds a flame to the taste of your sire's blood. Rich and warm, fragrant, filling. You would think with each mouthful, you are satisfied time and time again. Ecstasy, bliss. And the soundtrack of the moans coming from your sire's lips as you drink make it that much more. But the beast is a cruel and uncaring creature. So I need you to make me a composure and resolve check.
Do I add my hunger to this one?
You do, yes.
Okay. 5 successes and a messy critical.
The blood, as appetizing as it is fulfilling enough for you to maintain in control and shut your beast away. However, because it is a messy critical, in the midst of drinking, you now gain the addiction flaw. You will be at a -2 dice penalty on any attempts to feed on anything that isn't her. As you pull your lips and teeth away, your tongue running across that soft flesh to seal the wound, you feel full and satisfied. Still in that tickling, tingling ecstasy, as she runs her hand up your face and turns your face towards hers. She says, "Isn't this so much better?"
Nothing quite as sweet as the taste of you.
Don't leave me again. At least not tonight.
I won't leave tonight. I promise.
Good. She removes her hand from your face, runs it down your neck and shoulder, down your arm, until her fingers interlace with yours. And she starts to pull you, although it is with very little resistance, towards the staircase. In that night, you are amidst the roses once more, the garden. A bountiful garden, not too dissimilar from the Garden of Eden. It's so blissful that you forget about the story of the Garden of Eden and what it truly means to taste of forbidden fruit, to be tempted by a snake. All of that is forgotten for this blissful and beautiful evening. But tomorrow, you know you'll have to return. You know you'll have to go back. But boy, in this moment, you sure don't want to. This is where our story comes to a close this evening, but not without one last scene. We find ourselves in the same house. Beau, having fallen asleep in the tender embrace of her sire. A pallor of death washing over her as she sunk into that deep and eternal black. But Talia hasn't quite joined her in that darkness as of yet. For as she strokes the hair of her child, her eyes are drawn to the darkest corner of the room, where out of that darkness steps Athame, a sea of shadow, with long black hair and a gown much like Talia's, but black, adorning her form. Talia smiles at her and says, "See? Told you she was right where I wanted her." And that is where our story comes to a close. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. Go sign up for a Ko-fi membership for as low as $5 a month, because you can get access to all of the cool behind the scenes features, including the RBT Rosebud Thorns for this episode. And I'm pretty sure we have a good deal to talk about after tonight's episode because deals were struck, but are they willing to pay the actual price? That we will have to tune in next week to see. This week, we've got an episode of Rage Across Tampa on Tuesday. We've got an episode of Hellhounds on Fridays. So dive into the greater Tampaverse and then come on back here for another episode of Red Tide Rising next week. For these amazing players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production, produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. Visit our website at stpetbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening, and until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.